Well, before I begin this biography, let me say that I've noticed that there seems to be a lot of AI-created biographies out there on YouTube recently. And let me assure you, I'm not AI. You can probably tell this because I'm going to make some mistakes or mispronunciations, and I'll probably sound like I need to clear my throat from time to time. So for what it's worth, yeah, I'm a real human, believe it or not, and I watch a lot of old movies of the golden era, and as part of that, I research them, and I try to learn about some of the actors and actresses involved in these old classics. And for this video, I wanted to take a look at the life of actor Alan Ladd, who I've been seeing in a number of crime films recently, usually acting opposite of actress Veronica Lake. I thought it'd be interesting to learn more about him, more about his life, and put this into a video. So I read a couple biographical sources, and I wrote this out without AI. So here we go, a biography of Alan Ladd. And I assure you, I'm not AI. Alan Walbridge Ladd was born in Hot Springs, Arkansas in 1913. He was the only child of Selina Rowley and Alan Harwood Ladd. Now, when he was 4, he saw his dad fall over and die before his eyes from a heart attack. So from a young age, we can see that he was dealing with some major issues in his life. His mother did not have a lot of money, and they lived in a rundown apartment. And at age 5, he found a box of matches and accidentally burned down their apartment. So from there, the family moved to Oklahoma City. At this point, Alan Ladd was malnourished, he was short, and he was cruelly given the nickname of Tiny. His mother remarried, and in order for her husband to find work, they moved to California when he was just 8 years old. Alan Ladd said it was like John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath, and that it took them 4 months to make this journey in a broken-down Model T. The family struggled with hunger, and the family would often subside on potato soup for weeks on end. Some of Ladd's early jobs included picking fruit, delivering newspapers, and cleaning up at stores. Now, in high school, he participated in track and swimming. He was very athletic. And by 1931, he was training for the 1932 Olympics. However, during a high dive during practice, he hit his head and was knocked unconscious. And he quit this sport because what he found out was that he couldn't concentrate on form due to worrying about getting another injury. Now, a teacher in his high school persuaded him to act in the school production of The Mikado, and he enjoyed being a part of that. And following his graduation, he opened a small hamburger and malt shop in North Hollywood. He called it Tiny's Patio, a reference, I would guess, to the mean nicknames given to him when he was younger. However, this operation only lasted about a year before it was closed down. So he instead turned his focus to Hollywood. He worked as a grip at Warner Brothers Pictures while also taking some acting classes on the side. He landed small parts in the 1932 Warner Brothers films Once in a Lifetime, as well as Tom Brown of Culliver. He married Marjorie Jane Harold in 1936, and they had a son, Alan Ladd Jr., who would actually grow up later to be the CEO of Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer. Now, Ladd's alcoholic mother had moved in with them, and another dramatic event in Alan Ladd's life was that she actually ended her life with ant poison, and this was actually witnessed by Ladd. So once again, he had the tragedy of watching a family member die in a terrible way like this. Well, Alan Ladd took some roles in radio, and it was around here that a talent scout, Sue Carroll, discovered him. This was around early 1939, and he got some roles and some bit parts in various films like Pigskin Parade in 1936 with Judy Garland, Great Guns with Laurel and Hardy in 1941, and he even had a small role in Orson Welles' Citizen Kane in 1941. Ladd divorced his first wife in 1941 and married Sue Carroll the following year. They had 2 children, Elena and David, who also became film actors. Ladd's first big role was in the film This Gun for Hire in 1942. He played an evil gunman in the film, and more major roles would follow, with films like The Glass Key in 1942, Lucky Jordan in 1942, The Blue Dahlia in 1946, and also 2 years before The Mast, also in 1946. He starred in 7 films with Veronica Lake. Now, Lake was only about 4'11", and Alan Ladd was said to have been around 5'6", so there wasn't much of an issue with their height when they could be in scenes together. Well, Ladd was drafted in 1943 for World War II, but was honorably discharged in November due to an ulcer and a double hernia. He would soon star in a role that he would be greatly remembered for, and it's the one that we all know him from, the film Shane in 1953. Shane, come back! Well, Shane was nominated for 6 Oscars and won for Best Cinematography. And around this time, he was also in some other westerns as well, such as Drumbeat, 1954, The Big Land, 1957, and The Badlanders from 1958. Now, Shane would prove to be his last major box office hit. He would struggle with depression and alcoholism. In November 1962, he was found unconscious in a pool of blood on the ground with a bullet wound. The bullet had apparently penetrated Ladd's chest, around the 3rd and 4th rib, through the lungs, and had bounced off the rib cage. Now, this nearly ended his life, and it was believed by some that he was trying to end his own life, although at the time Ladd said that he thought he had heard a prowler, had grabbed his gun, and tripped, accidentally shooting himself. In January 1964, after injuring his knees, he hoped to recuperate at his house in Palm Springs. However, he was soon found dead, apparently due to an accidental combination of alcohol, a barbiturate, and 2 tranquilizers containing at least 2 depressants. He was buried at Forest Lawn in Glendale, California. Now, outside of his own Hollywood legacy, Alan Ladd had several children who would continue the family business, such as motion picture executive Alan Ladd Jr., who was an agent in the 1960s to clients such as Judy Garland and Warren Beatty, and who was famous for being the one executive to greenlight a little film called Star Wars in 1977 at 20th Century Fox. Other children include actress Elena Ladd, actor David Ladd, who married Cheryl Ladd of Charlie's Angels fame. So Cheryl Ladd is not technically related to Alan Ladd, if you were wondering. Although his life came to a tragic end, Alan Ladd was a popular figure in Hollywood who left a lasting legacy in cinema. He was an actor known for his collaborations with popular actresses like Veronica Lake, and he was well loved for his iconic performance in the movie Shane, as well as many others. Despite his early struggles in life, he rose to prominence in Hollywood in the 1940s and 50s, becoming a major box office celebrity, and his legacy endures through his memorable contributions to the golden age of cinema. I'll close with this final quote from Alan Ladd. "I have the face of an aging choir boy and the build of an undernourished featherweight. If you can figure out my success on the screen, you're a better man than I."